Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's your meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. California is broken. I mean, at this point, I think to many people, it's a lost freaking cause. And while you could look at Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass and the rest of these clowns and just chalk it up to incompetence, as if California is broken by accident, I think if you take that approach, you're a little too charitable, possibly naive. I don't think California is broken by accident. I think it's engineered failure. I think it's done on purpose. I think California is one of the most bureaucratically corrupt places on planet Earth. And I'm not saying that based on nothing. No, I'm saying it based on the continued compiling of just absolutely insane stories of mismanagement. Money just disappearing. And California is not a small state, so if we're talking about massive amounts of dollars disappearing in California, we're talking about millions, if not billions of dollars in fraud. You know, it's kind of like a weird distortion of California's history, because we know California was created off a gold rush, people heading there to make it big on gold, and now it seems like the same history exists, except the gold rush is not mining actual precious metals. No, it's tax dollars being funneled to consultants and developers and bureaucrats who are getting rich off the massive tax coffers and tax collections, while everything around them decays. Let's talk about what's being exposed in California right now. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I want to start off with this clip right over here. We've got this absolute Giga Chad who shows up at the LA City Council, and he raises a pretty interesting point about California's homelessness initiatives.
Now, when we look at the spending that we're actually doing, it's mostly inside safe spending, right? And so far, we have spent $450 million to permanently house 1,144 people. $450 million to permanently house 1,100 people. That's an absolute failure. But that money is going somewhere. It's not like that money is just falling into the abyss. That money ends up being somebody's profit. The nonprofit industrial complex who's making a ton of money off of it. And most of those people are politically connected to Hugo and Nithya and Karen Bass, of course, and actually all of you people.
You heard that right. $450 million to permanently house 1,100 people. Freeze that number in your mind. That is roughly $400,000 per person. And where's the progress? Well, there isn't much. And it's crazy to think because, you know, at $400,000 a person, you could build some beautiful suburban homes for those people. But instead, what do you have in California? You have friggin' boxes, tent cities. They haven't accomplished jack squat. And that's because we know where the money is going. This guy said the quiet part out loud. The money's going straight into the pockets of government bureaucrats, consultants, and again, developers. And that's because they don't want to solve homelessness. No, homelessness is the industry. These layers of nonprofits where all the money's being passed through. All the impact reports, on-the-ground studies, constant services, seven-figure contracts for government-connected cronies, and no frickin' accomplishment. If you're spending that kind of money, you should have a whole lot to show for it. But they've got nothing. And it's obvious how the scheme works. You got the powers that be, you got City Hall declaring an emergency. They suspend competitive guardrails and then wave in all the trusted partners. Then the money just flows to development shells and connected consultants. And by the time the audits come in, the money's already gone. Mostly spent on fees, markups, technical assistance. The bureaucracy keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. More fees, more experts, more consultants, more developing companies connected, but nothing being built. Nothing to see for it. Failure justifies more funding for the next cycle. Government cannot fix the problem because government is the marketplace. There's no bureaucratic profit to be made in solving a problem. No, the incentive is making sure that all the bureaucrats and their friends get the payout. And it's happening across the board on various different scales across California. It's not just that one housing initiative in Los Angeles, no, but it's happening on the state level as well.
Of where billions of California tax dollars intended to solve homelessness ended up. California has spent more than $24 billion over the last 5 years with little to no progress in solving our homelessness epidemic. California state officials failed to provide meaningful oversight over the individuals who received most of these funds, and they had little to no answers to the public's demand for accountability. Well, that accountability starts today. Today, we are announcing significant developments into our investigation. We're making public 2 criminal cases relating to 2 separate real estate developers who were involved in misappropriating millions of state funds intended to combat homelessness. This morning, federal agents arrested Cody Holmes and the former CFO of Shangri-La Industries, a downtown LA-based developer of affordable housing, for defrauding the Home Key program that is administered by the state of California. The program awarded grant money, which included federal tax dollars, for specific projects to convert motels into housing for the homeless and to operate the units. By April of 2022, Shangri-La Industries, where Holmes was the CFO, had co-applied with multiple California cities to convert numerous properties in California, including a location in Thousand Oaks. The state asked for proof that the company had the financial capacity to build all the projects. In response, Holmes and Shangri-La knowingly submitted fake bank statements which claimed to show that the developer had about $160 million on deposit. Not only were the bank statements fake, our investigation shows that Shangri-La and its affiliates had nowhere near the amount of money they claimed they had in the fake bank statements.
That's the U.S. Attorney for the Central District of California, Bill Asaley, and he basically lays it all out. Gavin Newsom has spent $24 billion on homelessness, and he's made little progress and provided very little meaningful oversight. And you've got these massive connected developers who are taking public funds, creating assets, selling them off for massive profits. They're essentially engaged in an arbitrage scheme using taxpayer money. $24 billion to fix homelessness. But I guess what they really meant when Gavin Newsom announced that, what was it, like 15 freaking years ago? They meant an ocean of cash for all their friends and cronies. It's fraud upon fraud upon fraud, and it's not just in the spending, it's how business is done. I mean, just take the CDL scandal that's currently going on in California, which, by the way, federal government, thanks to President Trump, has finally cracked down and forced California to revoke 17,000 licenses.
California is pulling 17,000 migrant truckers from behind the wheel, revoking their commercial driver's licenses. This move follows harsh backlash from the Trump administration and comes weeks after that deadly semi-truck crash in Southern California involving a driver said to be in the United States illegally.
But it's going to take some time for that to happen, with the audits ordered by Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy delayed in the wake of that government shutdown. Right now, the Transportation Secretary is taking aim at California Governor Gavin Newsom, calling the state's decision to revoke thousands of licenses an admission they were granted to people living in the country illegally. He's threatening to revoke $160 million in federal funding if California doesn't take these CDLs from every illegal immigrant. Meanwhile, the governor firing back by pointing out those work permits were issued by the federal government. His team says those licenses were revoked because they would have expired after those drivers' legal status in the United States runs out. The head of the American Trucking Association says, regardless, we need the safest people behind those 40-ton trucks.
And of course, Gavin Newsom didn't do that because he has a conscience, because he wanted to do the right thing. No, they were forced to. And it just exposes the rot in this state. And just zoom out and look at the pattern. Homelessness dollars being plundered. Immigration scams out the freaking wazoo. And it likely goes a whole lot further when it comes to government entitlements and possibly even voting. This is a state that runs on fraud. You know, California has the biggest economy in the nation. Gavin Newsom's always boasting about that, but what do they have to show for it in terms of all the tax dollars that they spend? They've got nothing to show for it. They can't even clear their forests or have a stockpile of water during wildfire season. The richest frickin' state with the worst performance, the worst taxpayer dollar ROI. This is a state where fraud, abuse, corruption runs rampant. It's basically the status quo, and we just keep seeing that on full display. Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.